Volkswagen is on a very short list of the most admired brands in the world. I think they're as famous for their ads over the years as they are for their products.
Have you ever wondered how the man who drives a snowplow drives to the snowplow? This one drives a Volkswagen, so you can stop wondering.
You know, it's a legacy that started with, you know, the whole creative revolution in advertising in the 60s. There have been so many great ad campaigns that to be invited to be, you know, write a chapter in that book to carry on that legacy was huge.
People remember those ads, and it's a part of why you want to buy a Volkswagen. And it's a brand people love. So we need to leverage that emotional equity. Volkswagen has a very clear goal to be the #1 automotive maker in the world. And we've already achieved that in the major markets around the world. Most people in the United States are surprised actually to find out that Volkswagen is the third biggest company in the world. We're part of the American fabric, really, the cultural icon. But we've never sustained a volume in this country that we need to in order to play a key role in the growth of the company. Today, a brand cannot be #1 if you don't have a strong performance in the North American market. So the Volkswagen Group has made a very clear decision to invest in the U.S. market. We're investing some $4 billion in this country in order for us to sustain growth here in this country. I mean, the Jetta is incredibly important for us. It always has been, but it will continue to be an incredibly important product for us in this market. In fact, that's why we're here today. We're shooting a whole new campaign for the all-new Jetta. We will spend several $million just on the production of this campaign, and then we will spend some $60–70 million on the media. So it's absolutely critical that we have the best directors, the best production companies, and the top quality professionals in the industry to bring this to life. Now, the U.S. market is quite different from other markets around the world, by and far because of the dominance of trucks in this country. The F-150, the Ford F-150, is the highest selling vehicle in the country, and it's a very small segment in other parts of the world. There's no doubt that people in this country still continue to like to drive big cars. Their sensitivity to fuel consumption is nowhere near what it is for other markets around the world. And that's probably why, because we don't have any products within the pickup segments. That's probably why it's been a little bit difficult for us over the last 10 or 20 years.
Everyone knows Volkswagen. Everyone generally has a very positive impression of Volkswagen. There's nothing broken in the brand. There's nothing we had to go in there and fix about the brand. What we had to fix was, while the brand has very high awareness, the models have very low awareness. The Beetle and the Jetta also have very high awareness. And then the awareness of the models then kind of falls off a cliff, stops on a ledge about halfway down for the Passat, and then falls down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon for the Rutan, the Tiguan, the Touareg, the Eos, all these other makes and models that they sell. It's as though people don't know they exist. And so you can't buy what you don't know exists. You can't buy what you have no awareness of. Strategically, we knew there was no bigger marketing problem that we needed to solve than building awareness for their full line. Now, there's not enough marketing dollars in the world, and certainly not enough marketing dollars in Volkswagen's media budget to do that one model at a time. So what we needed was a way to advertise the full line in one breath, one voice. One of the jobs we needed to do was really to give them an injection, a shot in the arm, that really increased dramatically the awareness of the full line.
Volkswagen CC, award-winning design, starting under $28,000.
The effort an ad agency has to go through to get an account, I'm not sure, but I can't imagine there's any other creative industry with as elaborate and comprehensive a pitch process. Before you're invited to actually show them your ideas or show them your strategies or what you would do for the brand, they just want to come over, see the offices, sit down with you, meet with you, make sure that they feel like we can work together. So there's a chemistry check. Then there's an all-agency briefing where the agencies on the short list, now it's narrowed down to the 4 that we're going to pitch the account, are all invited into the same room to be briefed. This is like the most awkward wedding you've ever, or bar mitzvah you've ever been to in your life. There's, tables of 5 or 6 people, each of whom are from a different competing agency, all in the same room, all being briefed at the same time. So you really have to play that. It's a weird environment. Like, you don't know if you should ask questions, because if you ask a really piercing question, maybe that gives away an insight that you're going to have as a competitive advantage versus one of your competitors. At the same time, you don't want to sit there silently and ask no questions. So it's kind of a hard thing to navigate. Then after that, after the briefing, you're asked to come back and show your ideas. We showed a number of different campaigns, different taglines, different approaches, different tonalities, and thankfully one of the 5 was really, rang the bell for the client and was really smiled upon.
When I came onto the Volkswagen company here in America a few years ago, I spent a lot of time identifying the best people to strengthen my team. No matter how smart we are at the center, at a corporate level, we need the right agency to enable us. So we then had to take a very hard look at our current agency roster and ask ourselves the question, are they prepared to take us to the next level? We ended up selecting Deutsch LA as the top agency. And the reason for that is because they're a highly creative agency, but they had the best balance of strategy and creativity of all the agencies. They had the most compelling ideas about how to grow our brand and how to express that in all the different channels that we have. Right there. One of the first things the agency said to us is that we need to get people to actively begin to look on the road for Volkswagens.
Volkswagen has a core audience of very enthusiastic, almost true believers. Their core customers love the brand, live the brand, consider it a lifestyle brand, a badge that they associate themselves with, like few other brands in the world. Now, that's a very positive and very powerful thing to try to harness, but it's a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways, because if the brand is, if the brand's stated goal is to grow and to reach a much wider audience, you have to find a way to do that that doesn't alienate that core enthusiast audience. Because if you alienate the core enthusiast audience in your attempt to go big, you don't have the foundation to build upon. So the goal was to figure out a way to go big without selling your soul. When you're talking about 12 different products, it's kind of hard to make a one-to-one emotional connection with someone, because you're talking to such a wide audience with so many different things on their minds. So we needed to find something that connected with people on an emotional level that would allow us to talk about the fact that Volkswagen sells a lot more cars than you think they do. And that's what brought us to Punch Dub. People love to see themselves, their own behavior, their own thoughts, their own quirks, their own eccentricities, reflected back to them through the culture they consume. We uncovered a little gold mine in this game that people play. You've probably come in contact with it, where you see a Beetle and you say red one, and you punch your buddy on the arm, or you punch your little brother on the arm, or whatever. Red one, blue one, green one, whenever you see one. And we thought there's really some gold here, because there's a behavior that people are aware of and participate in that we can, just by tweaking it a little bit, use to solve our biggest marketing problem. So the tweak was we changed the name of the game and we changed the rules of the game. Very simple. Instead of punching someone when you see a Beetle, now you punch someone when you see any Volkswagen. And we changed the name from Punch Bug to Punch Dub for VW. And with that one tiny chiropractic shift, what we did was we not only created an ad campaign that people like, we also created a new behavior and culture. We changed the rules of this game. There aren't more Volkswagens on the road suddenly, but now that you're looking for them because you're playing this game, suddenly you're so much more aware. There seems like there's more. And so you're literally playing the game, and at the same time you're learning, hey, there's a Volkswagen minivan. I didn't know that. Hey, there's a Volkswagen large SUV. I didn't know that. Hey, there's a Volkswagen small SUV. I didn't know that. And so the game takes on a life of its own beyond the advertising in actual human behavior, which has a marketing value. The Super Bowl is truly one of the last real mass media events that exist. There aren't many opportunities to reach such a wide swath of humanity in one event as the Super Bowl.
Hey everyone, we're here on the set producing our new TV commercial, and I've got Eric Hirschberg here, who's the CEO and Chief Creative Officer of our new ad agency, Deutsch LA. And we want to tell you a little bit about the Punch Tub campaign.
We couldn't be more excited to be here, and the first big push. So it's not just about the TV spot; it's about what you're allowing people to do online, both in preparation for the commercials and after the commercials run, to deepen their dialogue, deepen their interaction with the brand. So in the case of Volkswagen, we actually started about a week and a half before the game with a campaign of viral videos featuring a fictitious character that we created named Sluggy Patterson. Sluggy Patterson is the fictitious inventor of the game of Punch Bug. He was the first one to ever, call out the color and punch his buddy when a Volkswagen drove by.
I love slugging people after I see a VW. It keeps me young.
Actually, I heard somebody call it pinch bug once.
Who?
In Europe, they pinch you.
Typical of the Europeans. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Pinch bug.
Yeah.
I got to tell you the truth. This game is out of my hands. It's being played all over the world. So to make sure it's being played right, VW has set me up on Twitter.
Twitter, I think is what it's called. Twitter.
You say twit, I'll say tweet. It's a free country. Twit suits you better anyway. Now, I tell them how I play the game. They tell me how they play the game. Or they can ask me questions like, here's one. Is it extra punches for an out-of-town play? Yes, 2. I once punched someone before calling it. Does that count? I should punch this guy just for asking that question. Of course it counts. It counts. You call the color 5 seconds before or 5 seconds after.
Sounds a little complicated.
Life is complicated, my friend. Here's can I punch 2 people for the same car? You got 2 fists, right? I'm gonna make you a sandwich. You want one?
No thanks, I'm a vegetarian.
You're what?
Vegetarian?
Why?
So every couple of days in the week and a half before the Super Bowl, we released another Sluggy video. I think there were 4 in total, and these were viewed hundreds of thousands of times before the game. So we hadn't even run the Super Bowl ad yet, and we were already getting all this online activity about this character, this Sluggy Patterson, and we had people thinking about Punch Tub. Suddenly, this game that you played as a kid and maybe had some memory of was on the kind of the tip of your tongue and in the front of your mind in run up to the big game.
My birthday, I punch you 9 times.
So you on your birthday get to punch?
You 9 times.
Really? That doesn't seem very fair.
That's the way it is. Hey, I started the game.
And then we ran the ad, which the ad itself was viewed over 1 million times online.
Yellow one. Blue one. Red one.
White one.
Black one.
Silver one.
Gray one. Gray one.
Red one.
Green one.
White one.
Dude. Red one. How do you do that? How nothing? How you did that? I said hi. All right.
With 13 different models, it's a whole new Volkswagen and a whole new game.
So phase 1 was kind of reintroducing the game, changing the rules to include all Volkswagens. Phase 2 was actually taking the campaign and applying it to individual models. One of the other things we were challenged with by the client was they wanted to have a global tagline. They have a global tagline, Das Auto. And I say to their credit because I think it's admirable of any brand to want to have a single voice on a global scale and really just stand for one thing on a global scale. The challenge with that, of course, is that you have different cultures, you have different languages, the brand means different things in different countries. We added 1 syllable to the tagline, the word that's. That's Das Auto. And what that allowed us to do was use, a little piece of translation to say to people, whatever it was, whatever that message you just saw was about, whether it was about engineering, whether it was about safety, whether it was about style, That's Das Auto. That's what we mean by this tagline, which is in another language. So the word that's acted as a bridge for the U.S. market to the global tagline.
Under 28,000, it's a whole new Volkswagen and a whole new game.
Well, it's interesting how the consumers' media consumption habits have evolved. You know, it's no longer okay just to advertise in television. Of course, you have to be on television, radio, print, outdoor. Increasingly, you need to be in other media channels as well. So we spend, in particular, we spend a lot of our time understanding the digital landscape. Mobile media, for example, it's no longer just how people consume media on the internet. It's also they bring their internet with them.
You can't spend 10 seconds with someone in advertising or marketing these days without hearing the word integration. It's so ubiquitous as a topic, it's almost a cliche. But the fact is, there's a reason for that, and that is that we live in a connected media universe. We are all media omnivores now. As hard as it seems to be for the advertising industry and for the marketing community to integrate their thinking, it's not hard for consumers. Consumers are all integrated. They see no difference between a message that they see brought to them on a banner on a website or a viral video and a Super Bowl ad. Those are all just messages brought to them by brands. Or if they're walking into a store and they see a poster in retail or on an end cap, they don't see the difference. They don't think, oh, I'm online now. I have a different set of values. I have a different mindset when I'm looking at my laptop screen than I do when I'm watching television. In fact, oftentimes they're looking at both simultaneously. We have to have experts. We have to have people who specialize in digital media and people who specialize in traditional media. But then as soon as we have them, we strive to blur the lines between them. And the result is when we're sitting around the table with our client, you forget who works for who. You forget who works for which medium and who specializes in which medium. And that's the goal. We wanted the retail events and the dealer body, the population of the dealers on the showroom floor themselves, to be a part of the national brand campaign. So what you saw about a month and a half after we launched Punch Dub on the Super Bowl was a retail event called Punch Dub Days. And we built retail-driven, sales-driven ads around the same kind of creative hook as we built the brand building ads on the Super Bowl. And when you do that, it not only creates an integrated experience for people, it stretches your media dollar. If you have 5 different messages with 5 different creative hooks, creative ideas in them, because one's a brand builder and one's a retail and one's a model specific thing, you get the exact amount of media dollars that you spent on that ad or that promotion. If you tie them all together, it feels much bigger than it is. The integrated model demands that we have control and impact on all of those touch points so that you are really controlling the voice and the message. That's why we believe in integration the way we do, because the consumer experience is integrated. So we need to be just as integrated.
If you're going to spend all that, hundreds of millions of dollars in media, you need to make sure that that media is having the desired effect. So we have tracking studies, we do focus groups. What we found out is that just after the first several weeks of launching that campaign, Punch Dub on the Super Bowl, that we had gained 4 points in consideration, which is significant. We also saw that the awareness of some of our vehicles had risen significantly as well. So in essence, we had achieved what we set out to do, and that was to get people aware of products like the Tiguan, the EOS, the Rutan, some of these products that had really low awareness in the past. We also saw that there's a tremendous amount of increase in our web traffic.
At the end of the day, the campaign will be judged by sales. There are a lot of soft measurements that you can talk about. Is awareness going up? Is what's called intention going up? People's intention to shop or intention to buy. All those things are measured. But at the end of the day, Volkswagen will either meet its sales goals or it won't. Now, an ad campaign can't take all the credit if it does. It also doesn't deserve all the blame if it doesn't.
Sluggy, they tell me that you've punched over 6,000 people. Is that true?
6,000? Mister, your math is all wrong. Are you kidding me? 6,000? I've punched 20,000 minimum. I've punched neighbors, strangers.
the car business on the whole is only up about 18%. Volkswagen sales are up about 40%. So we're well ahead of the lift that the entire industry's gotten. And then in addition to that, we've got about 60,000 new Facebook fans. We've gotten 1.3 million views of our advertising of our Super Bowl spot online, in addition to the 110 million people who saw it, in the actual game. So there seems to be a lot of momentum, a lot of activity, a lot of hand raisers out there saying, yeah, I'd like to learn more. I'd like to interact more with the Volkswagen brand.
First the basics, no hitting another guy's mother naturally, and no twices on the same car. And you get a double punch back for calling a car out that's not a VW. Plus, you're officially an idiot.
So, a lot of responses, or how's that working?
Are you kidding me? With all those VWs out there pouring in. Here's one. I punched my father-in-law, John.
In the coming next 2 or 3 years, we will continue to leverage the emotion of the brand. We'll continue to do top quality advertising that's highly integrated, that gets people to spread the word about Volkswagen. And then we will be very focused on people understanding, what goes into a Volkswagen. What makes a Volkswagen a Volkswagen? Why is a Volkswagen any better than any other car?